So today I've come out to the storage facility where my boat is being stored for the winter, and it's an indoor storage facility. It's heated on the inside, and I'm gonna try and get into it. For the past few weeks, I really haven't been able to get a hold of the owners at the boatyard. It's honestly for very good reasons. I know why they're probably not responding, and it has nothing to do with me or the yard or anything like that, but I haven't really been able to talk with anyone about gaining access to the storage facility. And so what I'm gonna do today is I see a couple other cars here, but I'm hoping to get inside and get to the boat so we can start scoping out projects for the spring. First thing I'm going to try is the door, but it looks very much locked. And it is. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to try is just going around to the front and seeing if I can get in. Man, it's gonna be a long spring if I can't get in to do this stuff. And the door is definitely closed. Garage door. So, I don't know. There's a car here. Does not look like I can see anyone working on a boat on the inside that I can haul her over. So this is one of the downsides about storing your boat inside. You might not be able to access it all the time. It would be nice to get into the boat. Okay, so I got access to the storage facility, ran into someone who was coming in, and now we're gonna start scoping out projects. The thing you learn really quickly about boat projects is they always take longer than you think. And so before you start them, it's a really good idea to just try and estimate how long they're going to take, what's going to be involved, start investigating the problem a little bit, and then order your materials and start making decisions around actually getting the project done. So we're going to go inside the boat right now, and the thing we're going to be looking at, actually I'll go up front and I'll show you what we're going to be looking at. So what we're going to be looking at today is I'm going to be on a mooring next year, and yeah, I was thinking that I needed to rebed the forward cleats on this boat because they're a little bit wobbly and loose. That means there's no real seal around them. Okay, so now we're gonna go inside, and there are no lights in here. I actually don't know how we're gonna do this. I might have to use my phone. Okay, so what I'm looking to find out is how to take off this forward panel that is going to allow access to the bolts that hold on those cleats on the front of the boat. I don't think it's going to be that hard, but I say that for every single project. And so I want to make sure that it really isn't that hard and I understand how to gain access to them before we actually start this project. Okay, I just got lucky with this screwdriver fitting perfectly for these screws. All of the screws on this boat are pretty much different. What I've been told is when they designed these boats in Catalina, they just kind of grabbed whatever they had around and they put it together. It's a great boat, but I'm told that's kind of how they built them. So what I'm gonna have to do before I take off this front piece here, it looks like, is I'm gonna have to undo these side trim pieces, which is kind of what I thought. Basically, I have to take apart all of the wood in the front to be able to get back there, and then hopefully we'll be able to do it with some ease. But we'll see, that's why we're doing this. I also know that from looking up here in the past, I haven't gone through this top piece before, but I have, and a friend has, gone through this bottom piece when we were installing the air conditioning unit. So I have a general idea for what the back of this looks like. It's a bucket that comes down essentially from where the anchor locker is, and right here is where the anchor locker is actually housed. That bucket I'm talking about is what holds the anchor. My real question really is how much room is back there to be able to work around. What I found is usually there's just enough, but we'll see. So I'm gonna get on this and do this right now. So it actually looks like there's a screw missing back here holding on this final end piece. Must have been taken out before or it fell out, but it's not there. And unless there's something else here, which I'm not really seeing, then it's just this one. Now, this might have something going through a hole. No, I don't think so. So I guess what I'll do now is just unscrew this one we have here, and hopefully the whole thing will just pop off. Oop. Yeah. Kind of looks like we're hanging on something. Investigate that. So it looks like there were sometimes there's holes in these trim pieces where wires run through them to run along the side of the boat. And in this case, that's definitely true. There's some wires that are running through here. And so this light is kind of holding up this whole piece right now. And so what I'm gonna do is unscrew the light. I'll just show you this really quick. You can see that these wires have all been crimped probably a couple times. And so what I could do is just pull off these wires so this light comes undone and I can just pull this whole thing off. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those wires. Now I have that piece of trim off. Behind me there's no more teak. It's gone. And what I'm gonna do next is just take the other piece of teak off on the other side, and hopefully we'll be able to then, with a few screws, pull off that forward piece. I pulled these 3 screws out of that teak trim piece. Each one is a different size. That's why it's important when you're taking things apart to either take pictures. I took pictures of the wires that were running to that light before I took it off, and then leave them in a place where you'll remember them. So with these lights, I really think I'm just going to end up replacing them. I've been resisting it because I'm really trying to be selective with what I upgrade and what I change. But in general, these lights are stock with the boat. I haven't changed any lights on the boat, and I just had to cut these off. And within the next 2 years, I'm going to have to do it anyway. So this one doesn't even work. So it's going to be replaced. Now that we've got the lights all figured out here, what I'm going to do next is go ahead and take off this front piece. I'm hoping that this will be the easiest part. This right here is the anchor locker. I mean, it's not a huge anchor locker, but it's just enough to fit a Danforth, and the rod and the chain all goes in here. And alongside here, back in this kind of cubby, back in this direction, is how we're going to gain access to the bolts that hold on those cleats. So I'm going to investigate that now, and I'll let you know what I find. They're pretty far back there, those 2 bolts. I mean, they're really far back there. Okay, so I can pretty much 100% say I'm not going to be able to get to these bolts from this angle. So what I'll try is pretty much one more thing, which is there's a panel underneath this shelf that the arm or this selfie stick is resting on right now. And I'm gonna try taking that off and I'm gonna see if I can somehow reach up to get those. I just undid the board beneath this shelf here, and you can see behind me that hole is not very big to be able to reach up with at least one hand and and get in there. This is going to be a real trick to it. And I don't know, if I can't do it this way, what I'll try and do is just tighten them from above, those two cleats, and then put in some like Captain Tully's, some crack sealer around them, and hope that that solves any kind of leaking problem. It's not the ideal way to do it. I mean, I would never recommend or make a YouTube video about doing a job kind of halfway, but I don't really know. Well, let me try and reach back up there and just see what happens. Okay, so this is what I found. There's no way I'm going to be able to get my arm up there, even with some kind of ratchet extension, and like maneuver over to where that crack is and get up into where those bolts are for those cleats. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. I am going to call someone and ask. Maybe, you never know. With boating, sometimes there's special tools for things that, just like this. But I think we're going to have to go from above and just tighten them and then put some crack sealer around the top. I really don't see another way to do it. Which is why this investigation was important. Doing all of this was important. I wouldn't have been able to figure this out without taking off this and really investigating it. And this is just sometimes the way things go. We're going to go above deck now and just see if there's a way to tighten those cleats from above. I just got an idea. One of the things I didn't think about when I was down here before is there's this shelf, and I was talking about going below the shelf to access another compartment, but I could just take out the shelf, and then my arms might be long enough to reach back there and work on those bolts. So I'm gonna try that. It looks like it's only a few screws, so we'll see. Okay, so I got off the shelf, and now it's time to see if we can actually get back to these bolts. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah. I can definitely get to these bolts. I can get to both of them. I could almost untwist them with my hands, like right here. I completely overthought taking off the shelf when we first started. And, you know, I guess I just did that because I didn't think of it. But, you know, this is the great thing about working on a boat. It's overcoming these challenges. It's like, this is actually going to work now. We went from thinking that, okay, this is going to be impossible, I'm going to have to try and tighten stripped screws from above, to being able to do this. I mean, it's one of the best parts of all this stuff. It's like owning a boat and like going through the process of having to take care of it, it just builds so much confidence and self-esteem, or at least it has for me. So this is awesome. I mean, this is a pretty much ideal situation. We've been able to get back here and gain access to those bolts, and that means within 1 to 2 weeks, this entire project can be done. And with that, I'm going to call it a day. Okay, well, that was a pretty good day. I learned a lot about what I need to do to get those bolts off, and I have a pretty good idea for how long it's going to take. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get that done in the next 2 weeks or so, and then after that there are a couple other projects that would be really nice to do. Not absolutely necessary. It's really going to depend on a lot of other things. I'm moving to Chicago, actually, which is why this project is so important, because in Chicago the boat's going to be on a mooring, and those two cleats are essentially what's going to be holding the boat to something when I'm not on it 90% of the time. In the past, what I would have done is I would have also started a couple other projects, but I've really learned from doing this for a while now that you really never learn how long a project's going to take until you start and finish it. And so I'm really going to be just starting and finishing this project, and then if there's time to do other projects, then great. Now, pretty much the last thing I do every single time I come out to South Haven is I go out to the lake just to take a look, because it's beautiful, always. And I see a parking spot, so I'm gonna grab it. And what we'll do from here is we're just gonna end on some beautiful B-roll of Lake Michigan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.